Hello everybody, welcome back to another reading vlog here on my channel, and as you guys all know, I have a very exciting book that I want to read. Since I made a reading vlog for the book Fourth Wing, I decided for Iron Flame, why don't we make a reading vlog as well? So that is what we will be doing in this video. I am reading Iron Flame for the first time ever, and I want to document my thoughts all into one video. It's for the most part going to be spoiler free. If there is a spoiler section, it will be at the end of this video, so no worries. If you're like me and really behind on reading it, don't worry, you can watch this video and then skip the whole ending. I am so excited to hop into this. I have been, for some reason, kind of like itching to read this book. It has been sitting on my shelf and I just have the nerve to get it down and just read it and see what I really think about this book, because I've heard so many mixed opinions over the years about this book in particular. And recently we just went thrifting and I seen it at St. Vincent, which normally when I get books from the same location, it's 25 cents to about $1.50. For potentially under $2, there was this book. A little bit beat up, but sitting on the shelf. I could have thrifted it. I bought this brand new at Walmart for, I think it was like $21.98, so $22. Outrageous, because I normally thrift my books. But ever since I seen it there, I have been wanting to read it even more, and I am so excited to hop into this. For the most part, I will be reading this if I need to, because I've just had a slow month, and if I'm really busy and I'm cleaning or doing other things, I might see if I can hop on YouTube and find an audiobook, because I don't pay for audio subscriptions. I also don't normally like audiobooks because I don't retain the information and I get sidetracked really easily and I tune it out. It's kind of like background noise in my head. For the most part, I will be reading this book, but I will be trying to listen potentially to an audiobook, because I know I have some things later that I need to do, like potentially organize a hutch, which I hope, if you guys are curious, you guys stick around, because I think I'm gonna make that into a video. Without further ado, let's go ahead and hop into this reading vlog. Hello everybody, I think I want to go ahead and give my first updates on Iron Flame. I feel like I should have probably done this maybe about 100 pages ago almost, and when we were just 100 pages into this, we are close to 200. I think I'm on chapter 20. Yes, chapter 20, 188, 189. So I have read a lot of this book. I just felt like I was kind of invested when I was reading it, and I just kind of got carried away and realized I never updated or did my first update. So we are going to hop into that, give my a little bit of thoughts that I have about this book so far, and kind of compare it to Fourth Wing, or at least how I felt during that book, because I know a lot of people love Fourth Wing but also really hated this book. It was very much mixed emotions about Iron Flame. So going into Iron Flame, I didn't do a reread of Fourth Wing or anything, and I was sitting there trying to kind of remember what all happened, and I actually ended up going over to Instagram and trying to find Fourth Wing recaps so I could watch and get more of like a refresher about what happened in that book, so it was easier to go into this book. And I think I watched like 2 of them. They just kind of explained the basics, like the overall major plots, not necessarily every single little detail, which I felt like was fine. Going into it, I'm still picking up on who's who. I've forgotten so much about like who's her actual friends, who's this, who's that. I did remember a lot of things, but there were some things that even now 200 pages in, I'm still getting not necessarily confused. I'm just forgetting like, oh, who's this person exactly? So there is a little point to that. Normally with series, I usually read them, or I used to until I think Fourth Wing to maybe a couple different series a couple years ago. I always read my series back to back. I think Harry Potter actually in like 2022 was the first series I ever read spaced out. I didn't finish a book and then go immediately into the next one. Normally with all that, I go into the second book or the next book in the series, and I hate the little recap that always goes on. In this book, there was not too much of a recap, which I love for that aspect, but because I was so forgetful and I haven't read the series in so long, I kind of wish there was just a little bit, and there is a small amount, but I just wish there was a little bit more just to kind of help me along the ways. But I know if I was reading this back to back, I would absolutely hate that. So far too, I am enjoying this book. Every time I pick it up, I just fall into the story, whether that be me actually reading this book physically or listening to the audiobook if I'm cleaning or doing some other things around the house. I have just enjoyed this book so much so far. 200 pages in pretty much, and I feel like like there are times where I just don't want to put it down. Same feeling like Fourth Wing, and I almost feel like this is the exact same way as Fourth Wing so far. The only bad things that I can think about is, one, for the most part, like I said, how I just need like a little refresher. That's fine. That's my own personal thing. The other thing though, I guess it is my personal opinion too, I forgot how vulgar this book is. It's not like they're saying the F word every single sentence, but when they do say the F word, it's like every sentence for the next 4 sentences multiple times in that one sentence. And I know it's not like the worst word in the world, but at the same time, it's like, it's just, you're reading along, everything's pretty much fine, and then all of a sudden it's just vulgar all over the place. And I just wasn't expecting it, especially listening to the audiobook. I realize it a lot more than when I read it, and I just feel like it's like too much for me. It's almost like when you watch somebody on YouTube and you really enjoy their style and stuff, but then you just hear how much they cuss, and it's like, I don't know, I don't really like listening to that. Don't get me wrong, I'm a big cusser, and I hate to say that, and I admit that, but there are things on social media that I do not say. I do not post a lot of things on social media, and that is because I just care about how, like, yeah, how I look, but just who potentially watches my videos. That's why also I try and be pretty clean and don't talk about a lot of things. There's a lot of things I think that shouldn't be on the internet, and that's almost how I feel with this. It's kind of like when I'm hearing it, I'm like, okay, you didn't have to use that. There are other words you could have used. Coming from somebody who says bad words all the time, let's just say. Also, I kind of forgot, which I don't think it bothered me as much in Fourth Wing, but it does kind of bother me a little bit now. I forgot how much our main character, Violet, is so fragile, or how she breaks bones, or this happens in this, because I was sitting here reading and she's like wrapping her knee, wrapping her ankle, and I'm like, why? What is the point of that? And then I remembered, and everybody, when she's meeting somebody new, they're like, oh, you look smaller than I thought you would. Like, okay, can we get past that? I hope by the 3rd book she's not talking about that so much. I didn't really notice it too much in Fourth Wing, but I just feel like in Iron Flame, it's just a little bit too much. And then finally, my only other like complaint I'm gonna say is, as much as I love Violet and Xaden potentially together, which I feel like by the end of this book it's gonna totally change, we're gonna have a new chapter with them, I feel like the little arguing that they do is just too much. And I don't know if it's more Violet's side. I feel like it's more Violet's side. That's my personal opinion. I feel like it's not so much Xaden, it's more Violet. Like, she just chooses, as he says, violence. But like, why are we arguing all the time? Why are we making it a literal battle? Can I tell you how many times I have legitimately fought with my husband in the 6 years that we've been married, or even 7 years that we've been together? 0. I've never fought with him. I don't know if that's not normal, but I don't understand the point of like going at each other, and especially the way that they go together. And I get it, it's supposed to be like that little dynamic, and then maybe they come around by the end of the book and we have a whole new dynamic with them, but I just don't feel like I'm enjoying the constant, when they do see each other, battle, and like they're at each other's throats, and it's not like tension that gets resolved. It's like, I'm annoyed with you and I don't really want to like you, but I end up liking you. It's like, figure out what you want. It's one of those, just figure out what you want. I don't know, that might be more of a personal complaint. Like I said, I'm absolutely loving this book, and I just wanted to hop in here and get my 100 to basically 200 pages into this book, and kind of how I feel. It's an early morning, we have a few things going on. I want to go run, maybe walk a little, as my husband goes over and helps his cousin with his new transmission, and I might read. I don't know, I will probably bring this. Maybe I'll try and listen to the audiobook, but like I said, I use an audiobook through YouTube, so I can't shut off my phone because I don't pay for YouTube. So I don't know if I will do that or not. I haven't really figured that out. But if I don't choose to walk with my book or listen to an audiobook, I will definitely sit and read just a little bit of pages. I've already read about 20 pages because I think I was at 176 when I first woke up this morning, and I just sat and read before I took a shower, and now I'm here. So I'm so excited. I'm a little nervous for what entails, because also we are to the point where she has a certain vice commander. I don't know, he's acting like he's got something out for her, so he's personally trying to do things and give her certain punishments. So I'm past the first punishment and her dragon doing something to his dragon, and I'm now to this point of, they just basically stopped and talked in halls, and he had to search her bag, and there's so much tension. So I'm excited to kind of see how that plays out. I'm a little nervous because what all does this entail? Does it end up being something super bad that changes everything, or does what we learned in the last book and the beginning of this book, does this create like a whole big giant battle that actually happens and nobody's really going to school? Like, I have so many questions, so many thoughts, and so many different paths right now. Since I'm not so far into this book, I have a million different ways that I feel like this book could go by the end of the book, and then probably by halfway through to maybe 75%, I'll be like, oh, this is how it's going to end. And for the most part, I'll have maybe like 2 paths, and it will pick one of those 2 paths most likely. That's how the last book ended. To a point, I seen the very last thing in that book with a certain, I'll just say like sibling. I seen that. I knew it was gonna happen. I felt like it was gonna happen. I just wasn't expecting like exactly right now. I don't know. I'm really curious about up that situation, and then also kind of like how they're talking about with like the archives, and just, I don't know how much I can say, but the person who she is getting books through, I'm curious on what potentially might happen to her, because I have a few ideas in my head, and I hate to think that, knowing that this is more of a book that might get you in your feels, I feel like something bad might happen to her. Those are just my little thoughts, and also my little, not necessarily expectations, but ideas for how this book might turn out. So I'll catch you guys up on how I'm feeling later on into the book, and of course we will do some nice little b-roll or montage of me reading. My goodness, I just got to page 214, the end of chapter 21, and oh my goodness, what just happened, what I just read about? There is so much going down in this book right now. Y'all, I cannot believe what I just read. Yesterday, we were kind of over at my mother-in-law's, and I just sat on the hammock and then like at other random places reading, and I read all the way to 214. I ended on that chapter on page 214, but didn't read on 215, and I didn't start that chapter. So I ended on like a really good, kind of like cliffhanger, and I think I updated it and I said how everything was getting really good. We're at a really great point, and so far into this book, I feel like I haven't really updated, but I'm not too much farther from that. I'm only at 245, which is chapter 27, and I love this book so much. This is just like Fourth Wing for me. I'm so invested into this book. I am so excited. Tonight, everything that I just picked up reading, I was like, oh, we're already picking up back then. No, wrong. I was completely wrong by that, because here I am reading more tonight, and I'm just reading along, you know, do. And here's some of the things that happen without being spoilers, because you know, we have this little like, it's like to prepare you for interrogations. We have that whole situation. One, I kind of seen that coming, and I'm not gonna lie, I felt a little bit like it was a little underwhelming, because in my mind I thought it was going to be much worse. I was picturing more like epic fantasy stuff and not so much like, I don't know, whatever was displayed in there. I just thought it was going to be a little bit more. However, does that mean that I did not like what I did read? Like, I don't necessarily condone that, and I'm not saying that, but I really enjoyed like how it made me feel. Like, I was like, I don't know what's going to happen. There were so many little twists in that little, I think like 2 chapters worth, that I was like, ooh, this is new. Let's see how far this goes. Like, I was just interesting, and I really enjoyed it. And then as soon as something happened, you know, then they go into battle brief the next, I think it's the next day, I don't remember, but we're sitting in battle brief, and I figured the first part, like, okay, with the paper, the pamphlet, okay, propaganda, good, sure, that's fine. The thing that enters in like the beginning of battle brief from last year, I'm sorry, excuse me, that threw me off. I was not expecting that. I love that plot twist. I am so intrigued. I feel like there's so many plots opening, or like little things, little pathways that we could take, that is going to make this book so fast paced, even more than it already is for me. Then I end on the chapter, like I said, I'm on chapter 27 now, so I end 26 on a cliffhanger because of what happens at the end of battle brief, when basically she just kind of walks out, let's just say. I'm sorry, what do you mean? I am not prepared for this right now. Like, I am trying to go downstairs and go work out, so I'm gonna throw on the audiobook. I'm gonna head downstairs, I'm gonna listen to it. I'm going to try not to get too invested into it, because I feel like I'm really invested into it, where I'm like, I'm feeling every emotion. Right now I'm reading this book, but I'm seeing it in my head. It's like half in color. It depends on what I'm reading. Most of it is in color, but if I'm not really interested in it, or it's not like, I'm not really absorbed into it, I guess I should say, but I'm still very interested in it, it's not necessarily like I'm imagining everything in color, or sometimes I'm seeing the text on the page instead of just imagining things. But I'm getting with this book such amazing feelings, just like I did with Fourth Wing. Sorry, my camera just decided to stop recording. Love that. I don't know why this camera does that compared to my ADD. It never did that. However, what I was saying is pretty much I'm really invested into this book right now, and I'm loving it so much. I feel like the people that said, oh, it's not as good as Fourth Wing, I think they were just expecting more so what I kind of assumed before going into this book. I feel like they were kind of expecting a little bit more of the romance, and me personally, I'm living for the fantasy side right now. I'm kind of glad there isn't that much romance going on. Like, yeah, do I want them to figure out their stuff? Of course. But at the same time, I'm just enjoying everything else that's going in, because it's more giving giving me not necessarily epic fantasy vibes, but there are some elements that are creeping along that, and then just the descriptions. Like, I'm just enjoying it so much, and my brain is just so happy reading it because I'm picturing everything, and I feel like I'm just really absorbed into this book, which is really good. That is my little update. I just had to come on here and kind of update. Sorry, it is very late at night. It's actually like 9:30 almost, and it gets dark around 8 p.m. anymore, so I am gonna go downstairs, work out probably for just like 30 or 40 minutes. It's not gonna be too much, but I will be listening to the audiobook, and I don't think I'm gonna record it all because I don't have too much battery and stuff, and I just also don't really want to record tonight. I might read a little bit more tonight, but tomorrow I pick up the book. I think I will, but if I pick up the book tomorrow, I will definitely make sure to do more montage and like b-roll type where I'm actually reading and you get videos of that and not just me talking to the camera. Hello everybody, good morning. It's another day, and it actually has just been about a day and a half. I did not read too much last night or yesterday at all. We were just kind of busy. I was busy throughout the day, mainly doing laundry, cleaning the house, catching up on a lot of stuff because I had to wash a lot of bedding. And then later that night, I thought we were going to have a very relaxing day, and actually we did for once have a very relaxing night. We went out and watched our niece's volleyball game, so we were out late. Otherwise, we didn't really get to sit and read, or I didn't get to sit and read and just kind of relax in that aspect, but that is okay. I will be doing that today. I think the last that I left off, I was going to go downstairs, work out 2 nights ago, and I was going to listen to the audiobook because it got to the point where we were just kind of in, I think it was battle brief. Something was said and basically Violet left. That is all I got to. Well, while we were downstairs, I think it's really funny how I was saying how I really like this book so far because we were like 200 plus pages in, and it's just isn't really focused on the romance part. I felt like it was more focused on everything else, and I was really enjoying that. Yeah, listening to the audiobook, I was having to basically skip parts. I wasn't expecting the romance to all of a sudden hit out of the blue. I really thought something bad was gonna happen, and I mean, it wasn't that it wasn't necessarily bad, but there was some stuff that was going down, and I thought we were gonna stick with that stuff. I didn't know we were gonna kind of veer off, have a little romance thing, and also like a little descriptive, especially for the fact that I was down in our basement listening to the audiobook, working out, and I had it going through a Bluetooth speaker or like a boombox, and that was sitting over on the couch that we have down there, and I was multiple feet away from that, and it echoes down there because we do have a lot of stuff down there, but it's not like a full basement, so it echoes really badly, and our son was upstairs. I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of upset about that because I know he's young, and I know he wasn't thankfully listening because he was watching TV with my husband. However, I do not want him hearing some of these things, so it just kind of took me by surprise, I'm not gonna lie. Then I did read a lot more, and just what I read this morning, because I think I woke up and I was on page 262, and I've read all the way to 272, so only 10 pages. Also, I'm now on chapter 30. This morning, some of the things that was going on, I just was enjoying because basically she came back to the school and she had her, I'm gonna say like enemy vice commander. He kind of got, I'm just gonna say like served. He just kind of got put in his place, and I kind of enjoyed that little snippet, but I gotta figure out why my camera shuts off. Maybe it just needs a new update. But always, almost every single time that I record, after about 4 minutes of me recording, it just automatically just says, oh, movie stopped playing. That is the most obnoxious thing because my ADD would only turn off on me after 25 minutes or 30 minutes because that's the length that it would actually record. It never stopped randomly playing. This, however, I cannot figure out. Like I was saying before I was rudely interrupted, I am on chapter 30. I'm gonna go downstairs, just kind of walk on the treadmill, maybe get on the bike, but definitely I'm gonna try and walk like a mile. This is not necessarily the best lighting. However, I wanted to kind of do a little update before I get on the bike because I don't know, maybe it's because I kind of stepped off twice to kind of get my camera, record a couple clips, and that's why also I didn't record too much. But my watch only had me at 1.08 miles for 30 minutes. However, the treadmill itself said that I went 1.53 miles in 30 minutes. That's 0.45 of a difference in miles. I don't know which one to think. I'm gonna go more with my watch because it was counting my steps, and I kept looking at it, making sure that it would count all of my steps. So I'm gonna go closer with my watch this one time. And that's also just because, like I said, I stepped off a few times, but I didn't think it was that many. So maybe I got like at least a 10th of a mile messed up because of that. I lost my bookmark, of course, when I was recording that last clip. I only made it to chapter 31, which is page 283 and 282, 283. And that's because my son kept talking to me and distracting me. I think this is so much easier not having a kid down here, more so when it's like late at night and he's in bed. I think that's better. Like if I were to do a reading video or a reading vlog of me just working out and reading at the same time, I think it should be more he goes to bed and then I do that, or I get up early, because he is a very big distraction. I hate to say that, but kids are very much big, and I had to keep watching him because he was trying to drive on the treadmill, and I was like, you need to back up. He was really good when we had a treadmill out in Vegas, but apparently here he just wants to drive on it, and I'm like, do you want to lose a finger? You better back up. I only made it about 10 pages. Actually, I made it exactly 10 pages in 30 minutes, which is terrible, absolutely terrible. However, I am gonna go over to the bike and try and read a lot more so closer to maybe like 2 minutes per page, since it takes me a little bit longer for some reason. Unless if a lot of stuff is going down, for the size of these pages, for whatever reason, it's taking me closer to 2 minutes than a minute to read one page, which kind of sucks, but it is what it is. So let me hop over to the bike and let me see how much I can accomplish. All right, 45 minutes on the bike accomplished. For the most part, I was doing around 12 to maybe 14 miles an hour, which equated to 10.2 miles. Not too bad, especially considering I already walked at least a mile. However, can we just talk about where I'm at in this book right now? I only made it to page 308, 309. Oh my gosh, what is going on in this book right now? I'm gonna import it in the spoiler section. So if you can, stay till the end of this video, you will definitely see this. Excuse me, there's so much happening when I was reading, and if I could just stop being distracted, I would have been reading well past this, probably finished everything would have been good. I know we have the rest of the book left, so about 300 pages. I know that nothing too bad is gonna happen because we still, like I said, have the rest of the book, and then we have Onyx Storm. And I know that certain people don't die. However, what is going on right now? I am too into it right now, too in the beginning as well, to even think about, oh my gosh, what is she gonna do to save herself? Because there's so much that, like I said, in the spoiler section, I'll kind of go over. There's so much happening right now that I don't know. I don't actually have a theory of what's going to happen at all. She was just blindsided, so there's so much happening in this past chapter and I'm living for it. I'm gonna go upstairs after I do the little spoiler section, and I'm going to probably take a shower, change my clothes, switch the laundry. I have one more load left to do, more so in the dryer, not the wash, and maybe I'll just clean up a little and sit and read, and probably try and get to 350 to maybe, if I can, maybe at the end of today I could be close to 400 pages. That's my goal. It is afternoon, so maybe I should just get a protein shake. We'll see how much I get to reading. I'm gonna go ahead and talk a little bit about what I've just been reading. So basically, there's something that happens with Violet. I think I ended off in the basement saying like, oh, she got basically like, I'll just say captured. When she's getting captured, there are some things that go on. That's all I'm gonna really say. But I'm to the point where one character in particular, I feel like this is his turning moment. He has two options. I see two things going on. So first off, he did what he did, and either he's going to become part of Violet's team, I'm gonna say, and he's gonna turn around and be good. Well, in my mind, good. Or he could totally be bad. But I think because of what he's seen, he's going to make a very critical thing, like do a very serious thing, and I don't know what exactly I want to say. Maybe in the spoiler section I'll put it, but I feel like he's going to maybe be on her side, but also take it to the extreme of basically murdering somebody that he probably shouldn't. I don't know if that's the case, but I'm kind of hoping he does, and then he helps. I'll just say like he helps Violet. That'll be a good way. So I don't know. I need to keep reading because I'm right on the part, I feel like, where it's his decision. I am so extremely happy. I'm so glad I said what I thought was going to happen. I am so thankful. I just knew it. I just knew something good was going to happen, and I am so happy. This makes me enjoy his character now. This book, I've been saying, I feel like that this book is very similar to Fourth Wing. Like, I feel about this book like I did Fourth Wing. However, I think I'm starting to enjoy this book more than I did Fourth Wing, and I rated Fourth Wing 5 stars. This is where we're at right now. Hello guys, I have another update. Let's see, last time I updated, I don't think I was very far into this book, and I say that because I feel like I was around halfway point. Last time I recorded some stuff, I recorded how we had just got to part 2, which was actually page 334, 335. So that is here. However, I'm no longer there. I am all the way right here on page 500. So almost 200 pages later, I am now to chapter 54. And yesterday, I think I read just under 100 pages. It was like 90 pages. There was so much stuff that just happened. I read from like around 360, 370 to I think it was like 450 or 460. And I read that night that I stopped recording all the way up to that 360 or so mark. So I was really happy about that. I've been reading a lot of pages. I feel like even though it's taken me, I think it's honestly almost 2 weeks now that I've been reading this, or like a week and a half. And we have about 122 pages left, which I'm really excited about. I am going to go downstairs and work out like always. I've been doing that for the last couple days. However, I don't think I'm going to read this the entire time I work out. I know I'm going to read it probably when I'm on the bike or maybe a little bit on the treadmill, but I think I'm also going to try and catch up on some YouTube, kind of distract my mind to kind of work a little bit more. I feel like in part 2, it was just getting to where I don't know what I want to say because it's the spoiler free section, but basically they were just leaving a certain place and they were going somewhere else, I think was the end of, or at the end of part 1. So in part 2, we get a lot more where it's more of like where they're at, they have to try and protect this little area, and so they're trying to decipher these little books and stuff, figure out how to ward the place and protect it. A few other characters, I'll just leave it at that, a few other characters, they go out and they go somewhere to go pick up a very vital thing that they need. But in order to do that, they come together and make like a little bit of a deal, and it's not exactly what everybody wanted. So now they're back at this location that they're trying to protect. They're still trying to figure out how to raise the wards, but at the same time, it's like they're dealing with other people that are now with them at this area, and they're trying to be schooled and taught, and also just trying to really, you know, use their magic well. Let's just say use their magic or their signets, whatever you want to say. And then they're also going on missions. And at the end of the chapter I just literally read, there is a certain dragon that they meet in a cave while they're on like a training mission. I do believe it is a training mission. I stopped right at that end of that chapter, and I knew as soon as I heard that it was a dragon, I knew whose dragon it was going to be. I just felt like it was perfect, and it was more of that like throwing a wrench in there. So I did guess that, and I'm really excited to find out what happens, but I'm also nervous because we only have about 120 pages left. A lot can happen in 120 pages, and also I'm kind of just scared to keep reading on. I'm gonna go change my clothes, go downstairs, go work out, and read a little bit more, and maybe I'll come talk to you guys when I'm a little bit farther into this book. Hello everybody, this might be my final update for Iron Flame. My time has come to finally finish this book. I feel like I read about 20 or so pages this morning. Yesterday I read about 100. It was 6 pages shy of 100. Again, I'm doing really good for the most part, keeping up with 100 pages almost a day. I'm on my last, I think I only have 50 pages left. I have about 70 pages left. I've read about 20 because I had about 90 pages until I finished the book. I am on chapter 59, which is 552, 553. So we have about 70 pages left, I think, till the end of this book, and I am so excited to finish it. I am so excited to see what happens in the next, because we are at a good point. There have been parts where I'm like, this is a 5-star book, but here lately I'm like, oh, it's a 4.5-star book. I have no clue what I want to really rate it. Right now I'm still thinking about it, and we still have so many pages left that my mind could be persuaded to either the 4.5 or 5-star. I don't think it's gonna be lower than a 4.5, I'm gonna say. I definitely want to finish Iron Flame today, so I think today's the day. I'm going to sit here, I'm gonna finish this. We are to the point where the Navarin, they kind of came up and met with, I'll just say, Xaden and Violet and a couple other people. We'll leave it at that. They asked for a deal. The people that are with Xaden and Violet right now, they are are considering what they should do, and basically Violet figures something out and Xaden looks at her and he's like, what do we do? And she's like, well, we have to do it. I'm at that end of that chapter. When we start into this next chapter, that's when I will actually see what all goes down, what exactly happens. I have a couple theories. I'm a little bit nervous to finish this because this is, I feel like, going into an actual war. I feel like it's just a lot better for me. I feel like I'm really enjoying the book more because it is more of that military. You have more of the war going on. You have so much more high kind of stakes in a way, and it's just like a big battle, and there are so many twists and turns here in this book that have been going on that I just feel like I'm really engrossed into this book a little bit more than I was Fourth Wing in some respects, but then at the same time there are some spots where I'm like, I feel like maybe the whole overall flow of Fourth Wing maybe flowed just a little bit better, but then there are so many moments that I'm like, this is 100% a 6-star read. Like, I'm so confused in my head what I'm thinking, and I've been enjoying it, and I know that a lot can happen in 100 pages and we have less than 100, and I feel like if it's anything like the last book, I hope that it doesn't involve one of the many characters I'm thinking of in my head, and I hope that nothing bad happens, because I don't know if I really want to go and buy Onyx Storm right now at this very minute. Let me go ahead, let me sit, let me try and tackle as much as I can and hopefully finish this in the next hour and a half or so. This is so much. And who do we have down there? Whose dragon is down there? And of course, who is down there? I just talked about it in the spoiler section, what my thoughts were. This falling in reverse song right now while I'm reading this, and the last couple words, the 4 words of something has fallen. Almost 10 pages, and then we have the next chapter. I don't know what to think. I don't know what's going on in my book. I don't know. I don't know at all what to think. I don't know what to say about my book right now. It's just so much going on. I have officially made it to 574, which also is chapter 61. We're on a new one. So excited. They are, I'm just gonna say, in the process of this war. That's just the most I'm gonna say. It is going to go down in the next couple chapters, I do believe. Back to reading. One thing that I really liked in Fourth Wing was the sass of the dragons, and especially her dragon. And this one cracks me up. Can I help you? Anyways, there you go. She says, my saddle is stuck, and he's like, good, maybe you'll stay in it then. Of course, it's very much like I need to record right now, and my battery's about to die. also had to block my son because he's on the couch. I decided to move into the library. I'm sitting in my little comfy chair. Actually, it's not little, but my comfy chair. And I'm gonna try and finish this book. And then that way also I don't have to worry about my son because he's still watching Scooby-Doo. I'll let him finish that tape and then he can rewind it himself. Also put it up because he loves doing that. We're at a very good spot right now though. I feel like, so I need to record. And I have my other battery on the charger. Again, the sassiness of this. And you just hoped I'd catch you, as if you wouldn't. I've kind of been wondering about her nightmares that she's been having. And I figured that because she was having these nightmares, they were kind of like, what is it, like premonitions? Her subconscious mind telling her about future things that might take place. Here it is. What? I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. I have just basically about 24 pages left. I'm on 596, 597, which is the beginning of chapter 63. I can't do this. This last like 30 pages in total, not even, is going to ruin me. Stop. I'm sorry. Excuse me, what? I wasn't expecting that. I thought she couldn't half fire. You know what? I don't even care. Everything else has been impossible for her so far. Why not this? Man, I love her. She is so sassy. She's one of my favorite. I love Taryn, but Andarna, however, so sassy. I love it. Is it my time to say I was right? Is it my time to say I was right? In a way. Go to the spoiler section if you can. This is perfect. This will be the thing that makes me cry. I don't cry. I don't have a lot of emotion, like sad emotion, too much in books, but this will be the thing, especially right now with just what's been going on in our crazy, terrible world. This will be the part that gets me. I'm gonna put it in the spoiler section. Hello? I don't know what that was. Was that Josh's computer? Stop! I forgot what was going on before. No. No! I can't even get the next page. There's so little pages left. Aww. This quote right here, this is the, like, the entry, the excerpt. It says, most generals die of dying in service to their kingdom, but you know me better than that, my love. When I fall, it will be for one reason only, to protect our children. Oh, is this the last chapter? I think so, because we're like 5 pages left. I think there's one more chapter somehow. Oh my gosh. I can't do it. I can't do it. I don't want to read. I don't want to finish this book. I don't want to leave it here, but I don't want to continue reading. Oh my gosh. Move! The amount of stress I had in my chest, it is a weight off my shoulders. For right now, we still have 5 pages left. However, the weight I feel lifted off of me feels so nice because I was about to freak out. And I feel like I'm so into this book, and that is why I feel like I was about to freak out. It is such a great feeling, even though it's an absolute terrible feeling at the same time. I'm sorry. Beg your finest pardon? What? No, no, no. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. No. Absolutely not. I feel like I feel like there is no way that this next book could take the turn that I feel like it might take. What do you mean? I don't even know how to process this. I knew there was a twist within like the last 5 pages. Spoiler alert, we have about 4 pages left. Plot twist, bam, plot twist. Doesn't matter. We're on the last chapter, which is 3 pages long, might I add? No, 1, 2, 3, 4 pages. No, 3.5 pages long, okay? Okay? What do you mean? I'm not here for this. I'm not okay with this. Absolutely not. We are not in his point of view. Oh my gosh, it's his point of view from what happened. I'm gonna cut my losses today. I finished the book. I'm gonna sit. I'm gonna go through some reviews. I'm gonna sit and think about it, and I will get back to you. Do a final update because I really don't know what to think. I don't know what to do. I don't know how I feel. I am so excited, so scared for Onyx Storm. I want that book in my hands right now, but with it not having another book coming out for another like year or 2, I don't know. I need to come back and talk to you guys another day. Hello everybody. I feel like it's finally time to do my outro for Iron Flame, give you my final thoughts, my final rating, everything about this book, everything that I felt like. I'm gonna try and keep it short, sweet, a little bit simple, and also of course no spoilers, that way I don't have to have another clip into the spoiler section because this video is quite lengthy. Let's go ahead and get into it. First, I agreed with somebody's review and it straight up said I need to go lie down. That's exactly how I felt. After reading it, I felt like I just needed so much time to process what all I read and basically prepare myself for Onyx Storm. No, I have not bought that book yet. I will be on the lookout for it for my birthday. Right now, I'm just kind of holding off on that. If you did not know from my reactions and how I was feeling, I rated this book 5 stars. This was higher than Fourth Wing for me. I don't know what it was about it. I just felt like I was so invested into the story more. I loved it so much more. I liked the things that accomplished. I liked the ending. I mean, it was terrible, but at the same time, I just enjoyed how it made me feel. And I just felt like this book overall, for everybody basically dragging it down and hating on it so much, it made me enjoy it so much more, which not always does that work. I just felt like I really got into it and I kind of took off with it. It's everybody's personal opinion and also their reading taste that factors into how exactly you're going to rate a certain book, we can get that right off of our chest right away. I loved it. It was 5 stars. There were mainly just 2 cons, and I think I sort of talked about them throughout the book or throughout this video. Of course, the first one was just how frail Violet was, how she always was dislocating things. Now, if it was a legitimate, like, you can dislocate your arm in this way, it didn't bother me, but there were some times where she would dislocate stuff and I'm like, okay, calm down. Like, we don't need to do that. It just felt like she was constantly getting hurt, constantly having to be mended. There were times that it was okay, that it was, you know, just rightfully so, she was hurt. And that's that. But I just felt like it's overdone. Hopefully by the 3rd book, it's not that bad. And hopefully by the 4th and 5th or however many books are going to be in the series, it's not going to continue. That will be the one thing that really annoys me the most, I think. And then second, which I kind of talked about, is the constant bickering back and forth between Xaden and Violet. And I felt more like it was Violet this time than Xaden. There were so many things that once I heard about or read about some of the things that happened, I kind of sided with Xaden more. And I just got to the point where I was like, come on, like, why are we still fighting? And it's not fighting the first time they see each other, it's fighting about the same issues 10 times later when they see each other again. It did get very annoying, but I also understood it if it was going to be by the end of the book, they finally resolve their conflicts and then they come together and they're like a stronger relationship. I understood that point, but at the same time, looking back in the moment, I was very annoyed with it. And if we go into book 3 and they are still having fights left and right, like every single time that they meet each other or see each other, or every chapter, depending on how that book goes, it will annoy me as well. That's pretty much all my 2 major cons that I had. Some pros are some of the things that I absolutely loved about this book though. I'm going to talk about the emotion. A lot of the times I don't have too much emotion, and more so it's more like the sad emotion. I have like happy or where I feel tense while reading books. I get into books very easily, and usually I feel like my star ratings are usually around a 4-star, if not a 3.8 or higher. I'm not a person that really rates low, and I also, like I said, just get into books very easily. So for me, the emotion that I felt, that's how I knew very early on this was going to be a 5-star read, because I have emotion a little bit with some books, but this book across the board was so many emotions, especially the last, I'd say 70-100 pages. There were so many emotions that it was like tense, and I was happy, and then I felt relief, and then all of a sudden I was sad, I was scared. It was like so many things that I felt and I didn't know how to react. And that's one reason also I said I needed time to process, because at the end of the book when I was looking at and editing my reading vlog already for this, it's almost like I was going through every single stage of grief, and it was funny, but at the same time that's how I felt. Like the emotions, the stakes in my head were just so high, and it just felt so good. It messed with me a little bit. Violet's dragons, I love them. I love their monologue. I love, or their dialogue, I guess technically, but I love Taryn and I love Andarna. I love the things that I guessed about with her. I like the things with her dragons that are either, you know, like they're just bad dragons in the best way possible. Everybody fears them, or like they're cool dragons. I really love the relationship between them, and I love how they talk. I love their sassiness. I love just the whole concept. I think Rebecca Yarros did really good with the dragons in this book. I feel like most of the other things I really want to point out or talk about are all spoilers, so I'll just leave it as there are some things in this book specifically with certain characters, certain siblings, and certain generals and higher authorities that I just loved. And again, it kind of brings back to the emotion part, and I feel really bad if people grab this book and they did not enjoy it as much as I did. I had such a fun time. I am so happy I picked this book up. I don't know why I let it sit on my shelf, I think since April. It was either February or April when I read Fourth Wing, and it's not that long ago, but at the same time it's sat on my shelf for at least 6 months when I wanted to hop into it right away anyways, and I'm so glad I finally got to it. I think Onyx Storm, if I can find it for my birthday, I will definitely try and hop into it fairly soon, or at least sooner than I did Iron Flame with Fourth Wing. So thank you all so much for watching this video. I hope you guys all enjoyed my reading vlog. I do have my reading playlist down in the description, and if you're staying for the spoiler section, have fun, good luck, thank you. If you are not, if you can't be a part of the spoiler section, now's your time to click off. I hope to see you in another video here on my channel, and God bless. I'm going to start adding clips to this spoiler section. I'm gonna make a spoiler section. First off, can we talk about Jack Barlow coming back? Excuse me, what? That blindsided me. I was not expecting that. That came out of left field. And let me just tell you, now I feel like there's so many paths that we could go down. I don't know. I just see this being more of like, oh, he's gonna try and kill her. It's gonna be set up. And also with the professor, hello, like she knows all this information and he's trying to do certain things to get her to basically like end up failing or being punished or just exposing herself in bad ways, letting her secret slip, let's just say. There's so many things right now with him that I'm just so, I don't know. I'm loving that dynamic right now. I'm liking the professor because it's more like dramatic, and I really am enjoying that too. And also I just got to the part where after they introduce Jack back into the battle brief, they're sitting in battle brief and she has to leave because all of a sudden she realizes that there's only one person who got injured and it's Xaden. Another thing out of left field, because I'm sitting over here not that worried because I figured, you know, Taryn and Sagal would kind of communicate a little bit more and maybe she would have known, but I guess it kind of makes more sense to kind of keep it a little hush hush. I'm not expecting a lot of these things that are happening, which I'm absolutely loving. I love when I can't predict things because I predict so many things in books, so when I don't predict them, I'm getting more and more interested and invested into the book, and I'm just imagining everything like a movie. So this is the start to the spoiler section, and if this book continues to be this good, you best believe this is probably going to be at least 5 minutes long. Can we just talk about what just happened? I just had, when I was on the bike, I think I had just first sat down and Jack Barlow saved Violet's life. They were reading, they go down into the archives and then they go into more of like the royal, what do they exactly call it? It's like the vault that they had wards going through or around, and then they had to use, I can't remember how to say his name, but the son, the king's son, the prince. So much happened in that whole chapter. And then they escaped and they're leaving, and then everything with like what, I don't know, what Xaden said. For once, you know, I'm not very big on a lot of romance. Like for the most part, I like the little clean stuff. That's definitely me. So there's parts of this book that I just don't care about, or especially Fourth Wing, because it just wasn't the romance that I enjoyed. However, him looking at her and smiling because she's, you know, in the archives, she's explaining all this stuff, and he's also like, you look better in black. I hate to say, this is like a new side of you that could have been. However, you look really good in black. Love that. That's so sweet. I don't know, that really made me like smile. And then later on we have where they get out of the archives and he kind of pulls her aside. They're kind of talking. He takes one book, you know, this whole situation goes down, right? And the things that he says, the things that he does, I'm not gonna lie, I really like that for the romance aspect. However, now we're to the point where Nolan just tricked her. He gave her lemonade, and instantly I was like, why is he giving her something to drink? My little thought, my little brain was like, no, this is a trick. However, she didn't see it was a trick. I mean, this is part of the plot for the book, but she didn't see it was a trick. And then she got tricked. Then she passed out, or I think she was hit actually. But either way, she woke up later. She can't talk to Taryn, she can't talk to Xaden, she can't talk to anybody. She also has no daggers. How is she gonna defend herself? And right now I'm on page 308, aka she literally just woke up and they just started talking to her and they're like, hey, by the way, you better answer the questions and maybe you can make it to class tomorrow. I have not read past that little point. I have no clue. I have no theory of what's going to happen. I have no theory of how she's gonna get out of it. I do know, because there's 300 plus pages of this book left, that she is going to make it out. However, I don't see exactly how. So I'm living for this book right now. I just said in the non-spoiler section I was probably gonna go take a shower, get dressed, and maybe I'll try and make it to like 400. I definitely need to sit and read this book and maybe get a protein shake. All right, sorry about Scooby-Doo in the background. I had my son watch a VHS tape. However, I'm just on page 316, 317, and I have to say one thing in particular. Dane just came down to where Violet is being tortured and held by Varish, and I think Nora, she's like, I can't remember what she does, but she basically can tell if you're lying or not. So that's her signet. And Varish is down there torturing Violet because she got blindsided by Nolan. Dane comes in and he's going to try, or he was ordered to basically see in her memories. And so since Liam's there kind of helping in a way with Violet, he's like, don't think of anything else, just show them what you want them to see. And instantly, I haven't read forward, Wyverns, I think is how you say it, show them the truth of what really happened when everything went down, when Liam went down. Show them that. That's what I'm thinking. So I hope that she does that. I just wanted to come on here because I just want to know if what I'm thinking is going to happen. Yes! That's what I wanted. I'm also really glad that I decided to kind of record this because she did actually show them that. And also apparently the venom with the red veins, blue fire, everything that happened that night. Maybe Dane will come along and end up trusting her again, and maybe he'll be more on her side, and we get to have this new like dynamic of him being on the right side. Well, in my mind, the right side, but you know what I mean. So I just finished up to the point where Dane has a knife at Violet's throat. He had just seen the memories, some things like that. So he's talking, but I feel like how I already said, it's his time to basically turn around and be on Violet's team. I think also at the same time, he's not going to kill Violet. I think he's going to kill Varish, and then there's no coming back from that, and he is on their side. I'm not 100% sure, but that's just what I feel in my gut is going to happen, or he's going to do something really bad. I don't know. I stopped literally to the point where the knife is right against her throat. I'm sorry. Has her mother known this whole time? Are we getting where she was maybe planning on trying to stop some stuff all along, and now we're getting to the point where she already knew? So instantly she knows that Xaden isn't bad? What is going on right now. I'm so confused. I mean, in the best way possible confused. I am in love with this book right now. 6 stars so far. This is perfect if she actually knew and if she's willing to help. And I mean, it looks like she's helping since she gave Violet an antidote. All right, I just updated because the last time I updated, we finished part 1 on like 330, give or take, and I'm all the way on page 500. And we just got to the point where after they kind of went and now Kat is living at Xaden's castle or house, we just get this like whole dynamic of her just messing with Violet, and I loved, well, to a point. You know, there's a little thing that I didn't like afterwards that I, you know, didn't want to read about, but I loved the whole when they're like battling each other or like fighting because they're getting called to the mat. I liked that and how she was playing with her mind, and then afterwards, after that thing that happened with Xaden, how he's like talking to her and the things that he tells her about how like, hey, these emotions, she only heightens them, you already have them. She's not putting emotions in your body. So I liked that little concept. I thought that was kind of interesting because also it's kind of like the reflect on yourself type thing. What am I feeling? What can I do to maybe fix this so I'm not feeling like this in the future, or this or that. And then also he also says about the dagger and the ruins on it. So I find that really interesting, and also I like the little dynamic right now. I'm just left up on the end of the chapter where they're out on like a training expedition, training flight, and they're looking for, I think it was ruins. There are some times where Kat's being really nice to other people, but then sometimes when she talks to Violet, they're like, you can still tell they're not really together. They hate each other, but at the same time they're like trying to make an effort. I feel like more one than the other, but I seen it coming with Solus, the dragon, fighting them, Varish's dragon, and I knew when I heard that it was a dragon, I was just thinking, oh, it's gonna be a bad dragon. What's the only bad dragon pretty much that we know of? Oh, well, that's easy. It's gonna be the red dragon. When she started talking, I forgot his name, but when she started talking and she was describing what she's seen, I was like, oh, red dragon, exactly who I thought it was. And of course it's Solus. And now I just ended that chapter. I have to start the next chapter at chapter 54, which is page 504, 505. If it's anything like the last book, I'm really hoping that nobody dies. Oh, that's a spoiler. Dang it. I was just sitting here reading and they just got down to where the ward stone is, and they're going to try and help with Wazgaiath, the wards, and kind of make sure that they're all safe and maybe do some more stuff. I'm just kind of reading at the moment and also listening to music. However, Bade is down there. I knew there was a reason that Jack Barlow was the way he was. I knew there was a reason he came back, and now I'm so intrigued because at the same time when he first came back, I was kind of like, oh, this is going to be one of those where they portray him as a good character and he's going to be actually bad, and maybe he's even going to do something that would hurt. And in the time I thought it was just a bunch of people, but I didn't know at the time that the things that happen at Wazgaiath would actually happen. So now that I have that information, I'm like, oh, he's gonna be trying to bring down the school. I don't know if that's what he's gonna do. I haven't read that far, but since this dragon's in here and 2 guards are dead, Losing My Mind by Falling Reverse is playing right now on the earbuds, and the words, the wards have fallen, that was just perfect. I seen something terrible happening with Jack. I understood, I feel like everything that was going on. What I did not foresee, what kind of made me a little twist in this book, not the plot. He was somehow turned into a villain. I want to know more. I just stopped when Xaden is just kind of mind reading and like telling this to Violet, so I haven't read past that, but I was not expecting that. This is the part that I said, like, I really like the relationship that I've been kind of talking about because I feel like they're making progress just a little bit. Violet is looking at Xaden and says, as if he senses the weight of my gaze, he looks at me, then winks like we're not facing certain annihilation, like we transported ourselves back to last year and this is just another battle brief. It's little snippets like that, or like little things that they do for each other, that I just feel like they have progressed so much in their relationship, and it's so much better in this book than the last. Yeah, they're still fighting, they're still bickering, but I enjoy these little things, and then like the little heart to heart that they have, especially the heart to heart because Xaden is like this really bad person behind closed doors with Violet. He's like super sweet for the most part. They kind of like talk about things and he's like really open. He just shows the more vulnerable side, and I really like that. I feel like if this continues and for some reason doesn't make it like a 3rd act conflict where they break up in like book 3 or try and maybe get back together in the 4th or 5th book, if they continue to progress, I feel like this is going to get really good with their relationship. The perfect way to end this chapter is for Brennan and all the flyers to show up. I feel like that was just the cherry on top. You know, I had a question earlier. I don't remember if I actually told you guys, but my question was, or what would happen to Violet if one of her dragons, more so if Indarna died, because she's, you know, the younger one, she's not as as powerful just yet as Terran, and also Violet's been using more of Terran's power than Andorna, so I've kind of had a lot of questions about that. Like in my mind I was like, oh, would she be like half dead, like most of her power drained? Would it hurt her? Because when a dragon dies, usually their rider dies, but since she has 2 dragons, would she just have like half power, or would she just solely rely on Terran then and have everything that she's had from Terran but have no pathway to Andorna? And I'm not saying that that's happening right now, I haven't finished the chapter, but I just know because Andorna was there, I know that her other dragon is going to try and save her. I just feel like this is the most fitting part, and if she happens to die, I don't know what to do. I don't know what's going to happen. I like her adolescent years more than when she was that's a spoiler in itself. Man, I love Andorna. I mean, I love Terran, I love how sassy he is, but however, Andorna in her adolescent years has been hilarious. Now that she's not a Feathertail, which I loved her back then, but now that she's not one, she is so funny. Like the comebacks she makes sometimes when she's like just trying to pick fights, she's hilarious. I absolutely love her. Okay, well, I'm just to the point where we have the scribe. I can't remember how to say her actual name, but she's talking to Violet and she's talking about how she thinks that one of the journals was a lie, and she thinks that because it says 7 in the girls' journal but the guys' journal said 6 dragons, she thinks that the girls is wrong, and Violet's like, well, it can't be, there's only 6, talking about like the colors, and she says black, blue, green, orange, brown, and red. What if because she's seen, and I'm just speculating right now, this is kind of my thoughts when I read, I have a lot of like, hey, this could be the reason why, and this is sometimes why I guess some things correctly, or like I totally miss on some things. But she's been looking at Andorna, and yes, she's a black dragon, but she sees her scales looking like a silver color. In my mind, I'm kind of imagining Andorna's new scales, they're black, but almost like if you love cars, you kind of know how like a pearlescent or a very metallic-y can look. I have a fine silver birch truck, so in some lighting it's tan, in some lightings it's silver. I'm thinking of like a 2-color combination, so she's an overall black dragon, but maybe she has like a touch of opal or something, like a pearlescent on her. That's what I'm gathering from this, and maybe she's the 7th dragon. I don't know. I feel like that's really far-fetched. However, that is kind of how my mind is thinking right now. So I just kind of wanted to put that in here as like my little thoughts, and also put it in the spoiler section because I have no clue if I'm even on the right track or if I'm completely off of it. I was right about Andorna being the 7th. However, I was not right about her being black, like having a base of black and then having a pearlescent or something on top. But you know what? A deep dark shade of purple that is like midnight purple, midnight velvet. Okay, I'm gonna call that a win for me because I knew what was happening. I knew she was the 7th color. I knew there was another color, and I'm so excited. I'm so happy that sometimes it infuriates me with how my brain is always like non-stop asking questions or trying to figure out stuff before we get to the end. So sometimes a lot of things are spoiled for me. With this being this made me so excited to actually be right instead of being annoyed that I figured it out way before, because this was the next chapter, and at the end of the next chapter, I think I was on, when I last talked to you, I think I was still on like 590 something. This is 608. Real quick, I have to read this quote. If you didn't figure it out, then you weren't worthy of knowing. This is Andorna to Violet. She huffs, I waited 650 years to hatch. Waited until your 18th summer when I heard of elders talk of the weakling daughter of their general. The girl forecasted to become the head of the scribes, and I knew you would have the mind of a scribe and the heart of a writer. You would be mine. She leans into my hand. You are as unique as I am. We want the same things. And also the part before where she was talking about like she wants so badly to be just like Terran. He is so strong and loyal and fierce, and then Violet's like, well, you're all those things too. You didn't have to hide. You could have told me. And that's when she went into that quote. That's a really good quote. Is her mom going to sacrifice herself in order to save everybody because this was her school? She has Salone down there. Salone, if I can remember correctly, takes power. Is her mom basically saying like, oh, I killed your mom, like trying to get her riled up so that she'll take her mom's power, and maybe then she'll have so much power in her that she could light the rest of the wardstone? I'm so confused because Violet almost burned out. So I'm kind of confused on what's going on right now. I think my eyes just read a spoiler. All right, back to reading. What? No. No, I refuse. I can't. I can't do this. I can't. My son needs me right now, and I can't. I don't know what to do. I guess I'm gonna go help my son, and then I'm gonna come back and finish the last like 10 pages of this book. My earbuds died already. They died probably about 30 minutes ago, to be honest. Her mom saying, I'll get to see him soon, talking about their father. That is heartbreaking. And this part in particular, right now is not maybe the time to be reading about this, and how she's just ready to go see her husband. Like her husband's been dead. Father of her kid's been dead for so long. Like that's just heartbreaking, and I don't want to think about that. No, this happened because he was feeling her burnout.